Perkins.
Your official news source, WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. Laura Byrnes is in the studio. She helped us out greatly on Monday. We had about 6 job openings that we mentioned on Labor Day morning as we went through a list of different job openings in our community. Laura, of course, is with CareerSource, and Diane Perkins is joining us today. Diane is the Business Development Manager for CareerSource, so we're going to learn about how you, as a job seeker, might be able to connect with CareerSource and perhaps either get a job or get a better job. So good morning, Diane. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Laura, good to see you again.
Good morning. And more to the point, what Diane can do for employers. She's the business development manager, so she works directly with employers to provide all those great services to help them connect with skilled quality talent right here.
Which is an important thing, yeah.
It is, yeah.
So do the employers come to you, or do you somehow find them, or how does that work?
Sometimes they come to me. Quite often, though, I will seek them out, especially if we have, with our placement staff, we have levels of staffing to make sure that job seekers and employers are getting the assistance they need. But I will quite often go to our placement staff and ask them if they have any particular positions they're having difficulty finding out there for their job seekers, and then I will approach employers that may have those opportunities available. So we're just trying to get the word out there to employers. It's amazing how many of them still do not know what services we have available, and the fact that they are offered at no cost, which is quite shocking to them.
That is amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So, we're basically out there just trying to assist the employers as much as we can because we want to see our job seekers get jobs.
And if I was an employer and I came to you for help, here's my reason, because I don't like to tell people no. If I just put an ad in the paper, I'd have everybody you look nice and everything, but so I would have to ask you, could you please be the in-between person, who could kind of weed out only send me the really good ones.
Right.
And is that kind of, so am I asking what employers normally ask?
We do have services that allow for us to be able to be that mediator between the employer and the job seeker, so that by the time the pool of job seekers comes to you, it is the creme de la creme. So that's our recruitment staff that generally assist with that. So once we get an employer that's working with us, and we have our placement staff who have job seekers who've gone through our roadmap program, then we're trying to make those matches.
Really? Now
Yes.
tell me about the roadmap program. What is that?
Yes, roadmap program. Awesome program. It's a application process. That's how it begins. You choose to want to work with a placement staff individual. The other option is to work individually on your own. You can do your own thing. Once they do the application and they do a series of workshops, they get an appointment with a placement staff. That placement staff individual works with them for an hour and a half initially, and they're going over whether or not you need some interviewing skills upgrades, maybe your resume needs some overhaul, where have you been looking for jobs, maybe give them some ideas of some new places they can look for jobs, show them how to navigate our Employ Florida website. And that person stays with the job seeker until they find employment, so they don't go away.
And beyond.
And beyond.
In this job, it's very common for the person who gets behind the microphone to have a totally different personality on the mic than when he's not on the mic. I think it might even apply to me, I think, in some ways. But if I was hiring somebody to do this, it might not show up in an interview. And I'm guessing that I'm using this because I know this, but I'm guessing that happens in a lot of jobs, especially where you have to deal with the public. It might be sitting with you across from a desk. She or he might be shy or something, but yet put him behind a sales counter, like one of these shops here in the mall.
Yeah.
they might just open up and become a different person.
Absolutely. We have job seekers that come in and they have wonderful job skills on paper, but they don't have the confidence to be able to portray that to an employer. And that's where we can come in and say,
That's part of it, huh?
View their speech. Are you stuttering a lot? Are you hesitating a lot? How well do you really know yourself? How well do you know the company that you're interviewing with? Yeah, that's important as well. How's your body language? Are you fidgeting a lot? Do you look nervous? Are you, how's your facial expressions? Are you making enough eye contact? All those little things are huge cues to employers as to whether or not you might be a good fit for what they're looking for.
And if I may just jump in for the employer side, it used to be you would go through all your applications, get it down to your finalists, bring in the ones you want to interview, the ones who look good on paper, and maybe even make a decision based on what's represented on paper and the interview, and then only to find out early in the job they didn't have those skills that they said they had. And that's where CareerSource can really assist employers by doing the candidate assessments before they even get to that interview process. So there are a number of assessments that we can conduct for the employer to, if someone says, I can do Excel spreadsheet. Oh, can you really? Well, let's make sure.
Yeah.
There are 1,600 verified
I can't
skills.
do that either.
Well, or CAD, computer assisted drafting.
Yeah, I can't do
Are you
that either.
skilled on that? Do you have those customer service skills? What have you? So we can make sure that the candidate can prove that they have the skills before they even go in to the interview. And there are a number of businesses around town that require that. If you're applying for a job at the city of Ocala, you'd better be able to go through that battery of tests. Lockheed Martin has a number through the Florida Ready to Work testing. The county, as we know, they go through that as well. So this is great because now this doesn't mean the individual isn't a fantastic job candidate, but maybe doesn't have the specific skills you as an employer need. So when we refer a candidate to you, they've already got that foundation, and everything else is going to be gravy.
And the name CareerSource, I think many people view what you do as an upper echelon job agency. In other words, the kid who wants to get a job at McDonald's wouldn't go to CareerSource. Is that a false understanding of what you do, or is that accurate?
It's very diverse. We have entry level all the way literally up to brain surgeons. I mean,
really?
We actually have had postings working to fill those.
How'd you test that guy?
Not me. And CEOs and upper management, but certainly yes, entry level as well, mid level.
Yes.
Every kind of job that a mom and pop operation might have. All the way up to corporations with hundreds of employees. So it doesn't fit into any specific niche at all. Well,
on Labor Day a few days ago, when we used the list that you gave us, we also had some listings from Macy's. I think they had 3 openings, and it looked like they had this long list of ways to eliminate yourself if you thought, well, I'm not going to be able to do that because I don't pass this test. I don't. So they already had a whole bunch of qualifications. But I'm guessing people will apply anyway, saying, well, I'll sweet talk them into it, and that's doing yourself a disservice, I think, if you're looking for a job. Just my opinion.
Well, I mean, every employer, I think now, I'm going to go out on 99.9% has pre-screening software, so that when you apply, you're going to do online applications typically, and that application goes through the pre-screening process. And if those keywords aren't popping up, you're not going to get that call for maybe a further screening interview before you are brought in for anything else. So yeah, I mean, you can apply for whatever you want to apply for. This is a free country, but your chances of getting a call are shrinking. And then people get frustrated. They say, oh, I sent out 100 resumes, or I applied for 100 jobs, and I didn't get a call back. Well, that's why you got to have a targeted resume. You have to really zero in and do your research, and talk a little bit about the certified resume specialists that our folks are getting trained on.
Yes, we do have a we have a couple of classes that we offer. It's a resume writing class, and that talks about targeted resumes. Targeted resumes are a resume that specifically hones in on exactly what that employer is looking for, because as was mentioned, Laura mentioned that, a lot of these companies do have that software where they're editing those resumes, kind of goes through and it's looking for some keywords. If your resume doesn't closely enough match, it's going to get kicked out. And you could have been the best candidate for that position, but your resume didn't stand up to the test.
And so that's how you can help the employee, the job seeker.
Absolutely.
Right? I took you down that road, and I think we want to go back to talk about the businesses and how they work with you. Am I right about that?
Well, I want to just jump in just very briefly to give an example. I don't know if I've given this example before, but I like it. Martha Stewart, we all know her. She started her career as a fashion model. She went into catering. Before she did that, she was in investment on Wall Street, doing investment banking.
She was a model.
Fashion model is what I started
with
as fashion model, investment banker, caterer, multimedia mogul. So if she were applying for the job of Sports Illustrated editor, she would probably not list as her primary skills the catering or the investment banking. She would probably want to talk about her media experience and her fashion modeling and all that. Now, she's not making anything up. This is all in her history.
Right,
and that's the important thing about targeted resumes. You're not making things up to match what the employer wants, but our skilled specialists will take a look at your skills and organize that resume to meet the particular employer's
so
needs.
we make a mistake by putting things chronologically.
That may not be the way to go anymore.
Okay, all right. You want to take some phone calls?
Sure.
The phone has been ringing, and I just want to make sure we got through the preliminary stuff. Diane, you'll need the headset to be able to hear the caller. Let Laura and Diane get set up. Here we go. Hopefully you'll be able to hear. If not, tell me and I can adjust something. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for calling. Are you there? Whoop, no, not there. Call back if we waited too long to get to the phone. The number is 622-WOCA. And Laura, we need to take a little break for the weather, okay?
Okay.
So we'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala. Where's my button? Here it is.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A mix of sun and clouds today with a thunderstorm around mainly during the afternoon hours, high 88 to 92. And partly cloudy tonight. There can be a shower or thunderstorm in spots near the coast, low 71 to 75. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a passing shower or thunderstorm, especially in the afternoon, high 87 to 91. On Friday, times of sun and clouds with a shower or thunderstorm, high again 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Who would you feed if you had 50 chicken sandwiches from Chick-fil-A? WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall have teamed up to reward one organization with 50 chicken sandwiches as a way of saying thanks for the great work that organization is doing in our community. And we need your help. See, there are so many great people doing great things that we need nominations. You can nominate your own organization or any organization you choose. Simply send an email to WOCA@WOCA.com. And in 350 words or less, tell us why the organization you are nominating should receive 50 free chicken sandwiches from WOCA and Chick-fil-A at the Paddock Mall. We'll review your nominations and then select one deserving organization each month. We'll announce the winner and even read the winning entry on the air. Make sure to include the contact name and phone number of the organization that you are nominating. And thanks from your friends at WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall.
All right, thank you. I almost missed my cue right there. We are talking about getting a job, and we're talking about getting help finding the right employee. So we're looking at job seeking and job filling from two perspectives. Career Source is being represented by Laura Byrnes and Diane Perkins today. And your phone calls are important. If you do want to call in, the number is 622-WOCA. So, Diane, you work with the businesses. Let's say somebody has come to you, and the business person says, we need to fill this a certain position. Do you need to hone their skills? Is there something that needs to be honed on their end, just as you would hone the applicants?
Well, getting to know their business is also a big part of what I try to do. I want to know exactly the type of individual they're looking for, but I also want to know what their current staff is like. A big part of making a good match with a job seeker to an employer is making sure the company culture is very similar. So that can be very helpful. It's a little bit difficult to portray in a job description, but there are things that you can put in there that can kind of help
how do you
sway
do that?
one way or the other.
Do you have to immerse yourself?
Pretty much, yeah.
You have to hang out with them and everything?
I do. I actually just met with an employer on Friday, toured their small facility, met most of the employees there. They happen to be a very small outfit, and just really dug in exactly what they're looking for. Did we need to do some pre-screening? Did we need to do some pre-testing? Because we can offer all of those things to help them really narrow it down to the specific person that's going to be a good fit. We all know how expensive it is to have turnover, so the more we can prevent that, not only do we like that on our end as far as keeping unemployment numbers down, but it's more productive for employers as well.
So that's going to be really tough. And I mean, you have to be really insightful, I'm guessing, because sometimes let's say you have a group of very serious people, and you got a jester who's trying to get the job with that company. You might say, you guys could use a jester, right? You could use somebody who's a little bit lighthearted. On the other hand, you might say, no, I don't think you're going to fit in. That's got to be. That takes some skills on your part.
That's some of the background that I bring to the table in this position. I have a lot of years of media sales experience, and one of the biggest positions, or I don't know how I want to say it, but basically when I would go in and meet with a business owner, I want to know all about their business. And then I'm going to sit back and I'm going to analyze everything, and I want to make sure that I'm making some kind of a proposal that is really going to be a good fit for their business. And we're doing the same thing here with CareerSource, because we want to maintain relationships for the long term. So if we are able to identify needs in advance and make sure that we're meeting those needs, then we're going to continue to have that relationship, which is good for our job seekers.
And if I may, I think there are a lot of people say, oh, well, I run a small operation. I have a staff of 5 or 2, or there's only 3 of us, and we're very small. You're not going to give us the time of day or give us the same upper level tier, hands-on approach. And it's very interesting. There was over in another county a very well-known employer who he went through the whole process. I think he got 800 applications. He winnowed it down. He spent a lot of time, he and his wife, doing the job interviews, which is so time-consuming if you don't have an HR department to do it yourself. And they'd made a hire, and the hire didn't work at all. And
didn't work?
It didn't. It wasn't through us. It was, they went through traditional channels.
Okay, but when you say didn't work, you mean
it didn't work. It wasn't not a good fit.
Oh, but the worker worked.
The worker came on board, and for one reason or another, within 2-3 months, they parted ways, and he had to start the process all over again. Well, our business development manager went in, met with him, did the same thing Diane did, became very immersed, found out everything he could about that operation, looked at the job description, and said, well, this, I don't think, is really what you're looking for in this position. So then spent extra time to really nail that job description to get the right candidate in, and and went through all the different processes and the pre-interviewing and the assessments and everything. And that was more than 3 years ago. And I just recently touched base with both the employer and the employee. They're both just in a honeymoon phase.
Oh, good,
yes.
good.
So you really can start with something as basic as that job description. And employers need to understand our professionals who have human resource background can work with you to really make sure you have the job description out of the gate, have that right. Another aspect is, what are you offering for a salary? Is it competitive in your industry, for the area? And we have the resources to be able to show you exactly within your competitors, within a region, within a right down to the the zip code, if you're going to be competitive. If you're not competitive, you're not going to attract the type of candidates that you want. So,
absolutely.
And we're not saying offer them the, sun and moon and stars, but,
right.
You have to be in the ballpark. So that's another tool that our professionals can assist with.
And it is one of the things you've heard in the years past, that this area doesn't pay like other areas. You could just go to Orlando and get a better job doing the same thing. And so that's why I think, and if we fix that, they're not fixed it, but we are fixing it. Am I right? I mean,
not as much as I would like to see.
You'd like to see it better? Yeah.
Just since I've been on board here with this region, I've actually done quite a few labor market studies on particular positions to help guide that employer to make sure that they're targeting the clientele or the job seeker that they're really looking for, and then retain them. Because if you're offering someone $8 an hour and minimum wage is $7.93, but somebody down the street offers them $8.50 or $8.75,
right.
they're moving on.
Sure.
Without a doubt.
Sure.
And wouldn't that 50 cents extra an hour might be worth it to retain that person long term?
The interesting thing about what you do, I mean, you brought in the county, and so you don't just work with private organizations, obviously, you work with the municipalities too, right?
Right.
Public and private, you bet.
Yep, all of them.
I cut you off, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, I was just going to say, everything is relative. A salary that maybe pays $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 more an hour in Orlando is maybe not going to be attractive, because if they don't pay for you to commute and you don't want to relocate because your family is here and you have maybe a spouse who's working here and your kids are in school and you've got to pay the tolls, you're probably going to walk away from that offer, because, in maybe the lower salary is worth it to stay in a community that you love and that you're invested in. So there are trade-offs. I mean, we have to take all those things into consideration.
So the employer does not pay for your services.
No.
Do I understand that right? Does the
That's
employee?
correct.
Does the job seeker?
No.
So
Nobody.
Who pays? Nobody pays?
Well, we are funded through the U.S. Department of Labor, administered through the Department of Economic Opportunity.
I guess I never asked that question before.
Yeah, so we're, a lot of times it's competitive. We have grants and we get competitive funding. For instance, the Phoenix Rising Youth Build, we applied for a grant. We applied several times. We finally got it, and that's doing great things. So there's a high level of accountability and transparency. There is not one wasted cent, and anyone who wants to check it out certainly is welcome to do so. So we are constantly being audited by state and federal auditors, constantly, and we come back clean as a whistle.
Sure.
And in fact, if we can't spend the dollars the way that we expect to spend them, we return them. So, or we negotiate a way to shift those dollars into an area that's going to do the greatest good for our region.
So when a business is looking for a new place to build or to establish an already an established business but a new place, do you sometimes get the scoop on those businesses? Do they sometimes call you and say, what does the job market look like? We're going to need 50, 80, 100 employees?
Yeah, they do call us sometimes. And I'm constantly scouring, the media that's available to me out there to find out what's coming down the pipeline as well, so that we can start those conversations early and give them all of the assistance that is available to them.
Hey, I see by the clock on the wall that we're running a little short on time, but I know we want to mention some job fairs that are coming up.
Yes.
That's great for both employers and the job seekers.
Yes. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about a couple of in-house recruitments. We've got one actually going on today at our 14th Street office. That's 2703 Northeast 14th Street. That's Dash Express. They're hiring non-emergency medical transport drivers. So if you'd like to come in and speak to the employer, bring your resume, come dressed to impress. That's today from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. We also have tomorrow another hiring event. This is for caregiver services. It will be, they're looking for home health aides, certified nursing assistants, licensed practical nurses, and registered nurses. And that is from 10 to 12 p.m. at our office on 14th Street. Again, that's tomorrow.
Just because we have 2 minutes and I'm concerned about the job fairs.
About the job fairs.
Well, I just want to quickly say you can find all these hiring events. Go to our website, careersourceclm.com.
Yes.
Go to the calendar, search by date hiring events, and you can get the details. But the job fair.
We'll jump right into job fair. Let's talk about the 2014 seasonal retail job fair. That's going to be happening this month, Wednesday, September 24th. Admission is free to job seekers. Admission or reservations for employers is free. We're looking for those employers who have seasonal jobs through the end of the year. That's from 10 to 2, and that'll be right here at the Paddock Mall. Our other event is October 1st, and that is going to be at the College of Central Florida Klein Conference Center. And reserve your spot now. That'll fill up really fast.
All right. We are absolutely at the end. And I wasn't paying attention. I apologize for that.
We just have so much to talk about.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Laura. Good to see both of you. We'll be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Video is now authenticated in the killing of a second American journalist by ISIS militants.
Calling Steven Sotloff a devoted, courageous journalist, the president said our